We've got a new sill in place. I didn't film the whole process, but I did take a bunch of photos throughout the process of physically replacing this sill, jacking up the posts, and getting it all situated. So this video will go through those photos and show you what happened to get this new 8x8 in place. The process began with picking up the 8x8 from the lumber pile and carrying it with the tractor and setting it down in the correct orientation by the barn. Next came the scary part, jacking the posts. We borrowed these post brackets from a neighbor, and my neighbor from across the street helped me extensively with the work throughout the day. So this bracket bolted onto the post, and then we were able to set a jack underneath the bracket with blocking and jack the post. Now, we used a hydraulic jack, which is not necessarily the most stable, but with all the cribbing that we used, we ended up making sure that this was secure as we picked up the post. Once the post was jacked up, we were able to remove the remaining piece of sill. A second jack, shown here under the remaining sill, was used to lift that off of the 3-inch thick red oak block that was sitting on top of the concrete column. After that, the red oak block was removed and ultimately replaced with 2.5-inch thick pieces of PT, which were 2x12 and screwed together. Then that sill was set back down and preparations were made to move to the other post at the other end of the sill. The second post was jacked up by setting the jack inside the barn instead of outside like at the corner. The piece was removed by breaking it away around the tenon that was there. The tenon was the full width of the post, but we ended up cutting it down because part of it was rotten. The corner post had a tenon too, but we ended up cutting that off completely because it was rotten and there wasn't enough wood there that was left that was any good. So you can see the tenon here that was cut down. You can also see the jack with the bracket inside the barn. And this is another view of that bracket setup inside the barn, blocked extensively underneath the jack. Once the old sill pieces were removed, the new one was installed. The mortise was cut in the right end, and then to install the sill, we slid it up close at an angle and then slid it over the tenon at the base of the right post and then slid the left-hand side in onto the old existing member. So the new piece sat right on top of the old with those laps. Since the tenon was cut off of this post, 5/16-inch diameter by 5 1/8 inch long structural screws were toe screwed through the bottom of the post into the sill. This is the outside face, but the same was also done on the inside face, as you can see here, to tie that post down to the sill so that it can't shift. For good measure, structural screws were also toe screwed into the other post, even though it did have a small tenon remaining on the bottom, just to lock things in. 8x8 metal joist hangers were used to attach the joists onto the new 8x8 sill, as you can see here. As we take this view down the line, there was only one joist that had a pocket. The rest were hung with joist hangers. Even the joist in a pocket got a hanger. The bottom of the doorposts were rotten, so they were cut off where they were reasonably in good shape and then blocked with a piece of pressure-treated wood. This was all screwed together with toe screws using structural screws. This is a temporary solution that may be more permanent than ideal, but it will work well for now. At this point, all that remains is to replace the flooring inside the barn where it was removed in order to replace this sill member. Here it is in place. You can see the 3-inch thick red oak piece at this second post that we did not replace because it wasn't so rotten. And down there you can see the replacement with pressure treated. Inside you can see all the joists are in joist hangers ready for floor. The edge of the floor was replaced using one original plank that wasn't damaged during removal and 2 new 2x6s. This brought the floor right to the edge of the sill, but didn't cover the sill. Here you can see a small block was added to accommodate the roller, which keeps the door in its slide. And here is a view from one end of the new floor to the other. So for the finished product, we have the 8x8 sill installed. We have 2 new flooring planks here. All the joists underneath are hung in joist hangers. And then where these doorposts were rotten, we have these pressure treated blocks that are temporarily forming the base for those. And then I put the door roller back in another temporary style block. The doorpost may be replaced with the siding. All in all, this is looking pretty good. Definitely feel accomplished having gotten this brand new member into the barn today.